All right, welcome back everybody to Monster Hunter. Since we failed the Pink Raytheon quest, we're going to take a step backwards here a little bit. And I'm going to do monsters we have not seen yet. So even though I've been fighting the Great Jaguarus and Pookies, I will be showing all those monsters now. So we're going to go through our optional quest lineup. We're going to fight a Jaguarus, a Great Jaguarus. We're going to fight the... we may fight another Pookie. I don't know. I have to figure out if I want to rerun that quest again or not. We need to do... thank you. Light did not make you look very good, but okay, whatever. We're going to do Jaguarus. Probably an Aginath again. We're going to do Gyarados. We're going to do Baroth. Likely we'll do both the Great Gyarados and Radabon. All of these monsters are, while not easy, they're not hard either. They're not well, Aginath's kind of annoying as hell, but they're not a Pink Raytheon. So the plan is I'm just going to show them off. As you can see, I'm running the armor I said I wasn't going to run anymore. But I realized that now that we're in high rank, this armor is more or less on par where I need to be. And I can't upgrade it anymore. It's already fully upgraded once you get it. So I'm not really... I'm at a bit of an advantage wearing it, because it gives you some decent abilities. But I'm not like... It's not like it has 80 defense. And I won't run into anything that has 80 defense until I get to the end of high rank. Some of the other stuff, like even your Pookie and I say Great Jaguarus armor, you fully power it up. At this point in the game, I think you might be able to actually get the what's the word? You might be able to reach the defense level I'm at right now. As you can see, I am running Great Jaguarus weapon right now, because like I said, I've been running Jaguarus a whole bunch to get his armor. And I proceeded to also get his weapon. Well, I already had his weapon, but I mean power up his weapon a little bit more. So that's what we'll be running here for a bit, as that's what I was able to farm very quickly. Later on, you might see other weapons, but right now, this is probably the strongest thing I have. It doesn't require me to go nuts and start farming like Diablos and like 15 other monsters. One of the things that happens is as you get further up the ladder, at least in Monster Hunter World, as you get further up the ladder, the weapon isn't exclusively that monster or a high rank version of that monster, but it ends up becoming like a Jaguarus piece plus a Baroth piece plus, you know, like something else. It's like, well, we didn't want to make it super easy where you just go and you fight Jaguarus 50 times and you level up the Great Jaguarus weapon to its like max form. So we included like you need a couple pieces of, I don't know, Diablos equipment in there, or pieces of Diablos in there to make his weapon stronger at a certain point. Fine by me. So, here's a quick story. By the way, we're going to be doing these in rapid succession, so as I kill the Jaguarus, we'll be moving on to the next challenge, and I'm going to try and fit as many of these monsters in each episode as I can. If need be, I will split them. I will split an episode down the middle. If I, get, say, done with one quest, but another quest runs a little longer than I anticipate. I may split right down the center. But like I said, we're going to be rapid firing these out, and I'm not going to be counting these as individual episodes. So anyways, story. At work, I would work. I'm a purchasing person. I do the purchasing mainly for materials, you know, reorder, that sort of stuff. Maybe eventually, in some occasions, I look for, try to find hard to find pieces of items that, you know, the main suppliers can't seem to get us. We ended up spending more money on those, but that's like on the one side you spend more money, but on the other hand you keep your line moving. So it's not really a wash in terms of, if you, in an all ideal situation, you would just buy from either your primary or secondary vendor, and there should be little, if any, variation between their pricing. You know, a few dollars here and there doesn't really matter. I know over the course of thousands of pieces it does matter, but we're talking about hundreds of pieces, not thousands of pieces. You know, with differences under $1 per piece. It's not a terribly big thing, particularly if you need the supply and the vendor isn't able to get, you know, everything you need. Anywho, get to the point of my story. We can be notoriously very penny pinchery when it comes to stuff, and I don't really know. Maybe some companies are just, they have so much damn money they don't know what to do with it. But you know, been working for the same company for about 7 years, and there have been a couple things that have stayed the same. One of them is I still have the same computer I had the day I started. And I'm not going to say that computer that I started with was necessarily top of the line, you know. So over the years, particularly as each update's occurred, it's gotten worse and worse. Slower and slower is what I mean. Particularly on boot up, it's gotten worse. But sort of in addition to that, we've been very miserly about chairs, getting new office chairs. And I don't know what the correct answer is. If, you know, how long should a chair last? Should it last 5 years, 10 years? How often you should be switching it out? Like I said, we've had probably the same office chairs for at least 10 years. Now, mind you, they're kind of nice chairs. They're what do they call those? I think they're something leap chairs. They are supposed to be nicer chairs, but you know, when you sit in them 8 hours a day for, what would that be, 250 plus days a year, you know, I mean, you start to eventually wear you wear into them, and you know, the cushion that once was there sort of starts to get flattened out, and et cetera. Plus the chair itself may get a little dirty. I want to replace it. I don't know. You can tell me what you think in the comments. But long story short, they had a lot of chairs, and now we don't have as many chairs, because from when I started, we had, say, I don't know, 30, let's say we had 40 people in total. That includes salesmen that don't work in my facility. Well, now we have 70 plus. So if you have, say, half of those, say, I don't know, let's say 10 of those people do not work in the office, okay? So you went from having, say, 40 people with, say, 6 of them not working in the office to 70 people with 10 of them not working in the office. Well, you get my point. There's more people that need chairs. Now, not all of them are necessarily office employees, but in the same regard, not all of the chairs have performed as well as others. So they have tossed certain chairs in the garbage. And we've gotten to the point where now I don't have any spare chairs. And no one on the plant floor will give up their chair. So I went out and I bought, at a discount, very discounted rate, I went out and bought 7 new chairs. I think I spent around, see here, well, I definitely spent under $200. So that would be what? Yeah, I spent around $30 a chair. That would be 3 times 7 would be what? 21? Would be $210. No, that seems sort of right. Anywho, if you ever bought chairs, office chairs before, you'll be lucky if you can walk out with a used office chair. Well, maybe not a used office chair. You'll be lucky to walk out with a very nice office chair for anything less than, say, 80 bucks. And if you want anything of real, quote unquote, real quality, like you're going to be sitting on this for 8 hours a day, every day for multiple years, and you want, the adjustable lumbar or whatever, you're probably looking at closer to $120. That's on the very conservative side. A lot of the Herman something chairs, they will run hundreds of dollars, like $700 or something. And I think it's a little bit, I think it's a little stupid, because they design these chairs, they make these chairs probably overseas, I'm guessing, and all the stuff gets made, they ship it overseas, probably costs them maybe 30 bucks to make these, well, maybe more than that. Let's say it costs them like 50, 60 bucks to make these chairs, and they're selling you them $700. I mean, what the fuck, I think some of that has to do with, yeah, it only cost, it only cost 80 bucks or 50 bucks to make the chair, but you're not going to be buying chairs every year. You're going to be buying chairs, once every 5, 10, 15, whenever, years, So, I don't know. So, the other part of chairs is they're unassembled in a box, which is good, so it gives you the ability to package as many of them as possible. However, when they're like, I don't know, like 36 inches on its longest measurement, that takes up a lot of room in a car. I wrote this down because I was trying to figure out how many I get in my car and how many I would need to get, someone else to help me with, because I don't have a truck. I have a sedan, which for we'll say 95% of the time, if not more, I don't need a van. I don't need a truck. I don't need an SUV with collapsing seats. My sedan gets me to and fro. I don't have a family necessarily to tote around. But anyways, they were 30 inches by 25 inches by 13 inch tall. So we were able to fit, I bought 7. We were able to fit 5 of them in my mom's SUV, and I fit the other 2 in my car. If I needed to fit another one in my car, it would have been a little bit of a, I could have done it, but it would have been a little bit of a squeeze at that point. And that's how you fight a bear off. How you like that? It only took us Not quite 10 minutes to do. So I think we have enough time for another monster. That's what we're gonna do. Won't that be fun? But yeah, we were, like I said, I was able to get each of these chairs for say about 30 bucks a pop. Maybe 25 is more accurate, which is much better than spending $40 per chair to get a shitty chair, or spending $100 or more to get a comparable quality chair. I don't know. I gotta assemble them when I get to work tomorrow, and figure out whether they're gonna actually work out for me or not, or if I bought a bunch of duds and wasted money. Anyways, we're gonna go after the next monster. But first, here's the updated muscular chef animation. Tell every time I get just a little bit more every time. Means I get better bonuses. And my cat gets better bonuses, and I do the clap clap.
That's awesome.
That is awesome, I agree. What are we gonna do now? Yep, we're gonna go fight a Kiliaku. I don't think we fought one of those yet. I did fight a couple of these off screen because I've been trying to grind out some of their materials to turn into better materials. I mean, to turn into armor mainly, but some of the easiest things to do are initially the best thing you can do in high rank is get a little bit of armor, some base armor, leather armor, chainmail, what have you, and then focus down on getting a very strong non-elemental weapon like the Jaggeris weapon. It'll give you a pretty good jump on some of the early monsters you have to fight. So you take a 20-minute battle, and by grinding out some, like I said, Jaggeris, particularly for this weapon anyways, grind out some Jaggeris materials, and you can get something pretty decent that'll allow you to, instead of, like I said, spending 20 minutes per hunt, you're spending 10 minutes per hunt on these monsters. You can see I like the very aggressive nature of this weapon, as well as I believe it has exhaust files on it. So whenever I turn it into its sword mode, I'm doing exhaust damage to him. Also found a pretty decent combo. Not very complicated, but when I grab on your head, you're not supposed to be able to throw me off. Very rude. I'm just saying, you do all that work, you cut your hair, cut the little plumes off your head, and all you do is you pick up a rock, you throw me off, and it's just very rude. Boom! Softening your brain. Boom! Congratulations. The Kiliaku is not quite dead yet, but he's pretty getting there. Doesn't quite have the limp yet, but that doesn't mean he's not low on health. See where he went. He's downstairs. Oh no, he's up here. I might be able to capture him now. Generally, when he comes back here to eat, that means he's usually low enough on health you can capture him. Give it a try. Did it. That was a 5-6 minute battle. Pretty simple. Alright, we're going to return to headquarters. I'm going to pick up a little bit of material here because he did drop this egg. Give my Palico a pat on the head. Here's a sausage. Yum, yum, yum. And later, Monster Hunter games, he's going to hold it above his head and the fucking bird thing's going to eat it. Alright, we did. Pet the Poogie.
It's time to hunt the monster that left that trail.
One of the reasons I keep skipping the intro, you know, between hunts, is every time I come back here, the handler says the same thing every time. So, all right, Hunter, it's time to do the monster. All right, Hunter, it's time to do the monster. You know, it's like, ugh, it's annoying. It's annoying for me to do. I'm not gonna fucking subject, you know, the audience to like a dozen. Well, it's not really gonna be a dozen episodes, but you know, a half dozen hunts where she keeps saying the same thing over and over again. I'm not going to be able to do any of these limited bounties. We're too deep in this game now where, like, they're giving you limited bounties not based on where you are in the game currently, but it's based on, like, if you had, say, I'm guessing, I don't know, you would have to have at least a good chunk of this game opened up. Like they talk about Zoro Magdaros being an elder dragon. Well, when we start getting to the end of the vanilla Monster Hunter world, they start opening up the gateway for hunting elder dragons. You start running into more of them, which means that they can use that as a limited bounty. You know, kill one elder dragon, or because it's also you're also in the Iceborne thing. They could also make you. They could also make one of the limited bounties like a limit. I'm sorry, a master rank quest. So, which we're not at master rank yet. Even we're not even remotely at master rank yet. So just a quick reminder, this is a regular Rathalos, not the pink Rathalos. Not yet anyways. As you may have noticed from my first go around with pink Rathalos, it is a Rathalos on steroids. It has different, it's not only faster and more aggressive, but it also has different moves. So for instance, pink Rathalos will do that backflip. But it also has the ability to do a backflip that is sort of diagonal. That goes sort of in like a slashing motion. So I wouldn't say it's harder to predict. It's certainly not harder to predict. But it can really catch you off guard. Particularly with the speed difference between the regular Rathalos and the pink Rathalos. Or I'm sorry, pink Rathian. You call him Rathalos, the Rathian. Anyways. I won't take up too much time about the difference between the two. It's just that one's stronger, has more health, and is faster. Has more moves. You took the tail off already. Good. But again, I am also running a different weapon than I did previously. Running Jaggeris instead of a thunder-based or what's it called, based weapon.